The Algebra of Happiness. That sounds pretty intriguing, but what does it actually mean? Well, think back to your school days. When you first started studying algebra in your math classes, you were probably confronted by equations involving letters, like x plus y equals 7. Those letters are called variables, which are symbols that stand for unknown quantities. In the algebra of mathematics, your task is to solve for those unknowns, the ones that add up to a given number, like 7 for instance. Similarly, the algebra of happiness is about figuring out the variables that add up to a happy life, that is, a life filled with a sense of meaning, love, and success. But there's one key difference, and it's that this is not just some school lesson carried out on a worksheet. It's the fundamental challenge of human existence played out on the world stage. And what's at stake isn't just a grade. It's the value, impact, and enjoyment of your time here on Earth. Let's really go back to our school days and start off with a pop quiz. If x plus y equals 7, what is the value of x? Well, that depends on the value of y. You know that the sum equals 7, so the higher y is, the lower x will be, and vice versa. That's the thing with algebra. When we're doing it, we're not just concerned with the individual variables themselves. We're also interested in the relationships between them. In this case, x and y have an inverse relationship to each other. A similar principle applies to the algebra of happiness. Here's another inverse relationship. Let x be your work-life balance in young adulthood, while y represents the same balance later in your life. Here, too, the more you have the one, the less you'll have the other, and vice versa. Why is that? Well, if you want to achieve professional success and financial security, you're going to have to outcompete the numerous other young adults also striving for it. Otherwise, they'll leave you in the dust and you'll probably never catch up. But that means devoting more time and energy to your career than to other areas of your life, which will likely suffer as a result. The point isn't that you have to sacrifice your young adulthood for the sake of your later years. It's simply that you must recognize the trade-off to be made between the two. And it's up to you to decide whether and how much you want to trade one for the other. For example, you can live a relaxed, well-balanced lifestyle in your early adulthood that could make you much happier in the present moment than your career-driven peers' 80-hour work weeks. But if you choose to take this path, you should do so with the recognition that it could lead to a more precarious financial position later in life. That, in turn, will lead to a more stressful, unbalanced life than the one that those same peers will enjoy in their golden years as they ease back on work and eventually retire. That being said, they'll also have lost out on a lot of happiness between now and then. Again, there's always a trade-off, but the choice is yours. Just know what you're trading and choosing. Before you decide to sacrifice your personal life on the altar of professional success, you might want to pause and consider what you're sacrificing. Above all, your relationships with your friends and family. If you're working 80-hour weeks, you're not going to have much time and energy left for those relationships, and they're going to deteriorate as a result. But can't you just put them on the back burner for now and get back to them later in life, after retirement? Well, it's not so simple, because in the algebra of happiness, the logic of sacrifice applies to relationships just as much as it does to success. And as with success, the more or less time and energy you invest in your friends and family now, the more or less you'll get back from them in later life. Imagine you've been a loving, caring partner, parent, and/or friend your entire adult life. You've brought tremendous happiness to other people's lives, and you've made them feel like they truly matter to you. With your immediate family, for instance, you haven't just been an income provider. You've also been a source of interesting conversations, memorable adventures, exciting games, and riveting bedtime stories. If that's the sort of self-giving, joy-bringing person you've been to your family and friends, then of course they're going to want to be there with you in your final days. If you were to continue on your present trajectory in life, who would show up at your deathbed? Asking yourself that question might seem like thinking a bit too far ahead, but it's a useful exercise for evaluating the quality of the life you're living now. If the answer is no one, it's a sign that your current life has a deficit of familial love and friendship. It's also a sign of equally serious deficit of happiness, since our relationships are one of our greatest sources of joy. It's often said that money can't buy happiness and that the best things in life are free. Now, both of these aphorisms are a bit overstated. Money, to the extent that it can lift us out of the instability, insecurity, and material insufficiencies that come with poverty or a precarious middle-class income, can definitely increase our happiness. And many worthwhile experiences and hobbies require paying upfront investment costs, such as a plane ticket for an overseas vacation or an instrument you use to play music. But those caveats aside, the aphorisms have a lot of truth to them, and even in both of the exceptions just mentioned, money is simply a means to an end, not an end to itself. Let's go back to experiences and hobbies. While money enables you to access or procure the equipment needed to enjoy these activities, it's not obtaining the access or equipment that make you happy. It's actually using them to do those activities. Similarly, financial stability, security, and sufficiency alone don't make you happy. Instead, achieving these things allows you to focus less on making money and more on doing other things that bring you joy. This is where special experiences and hobbies come into the picture. Although these activities can go a long way in making us happy, nothing can bring us more joy than spending quality time with loved ones, especially the families we create. There's only one thing that's ever provided an answer to the eternal question, why am I here? It's the combination of two specific accomplishments. The first is being a devoted father who invests his time and energy into making his children happy. To that end, he makes sure to watch movies with his kids, take them to theme parks, and attend their soccer practices. The second is having a marriage in which he and his wife form a well-functioning partnership in raising their children together. The achievements of professional success primarily provide you with the foundation on which to enjoy family life. Sure, they also feel great in and of themselves, but they feel even better when you get to share them with a loving partner who cheers you on. Imagine you're entering your golden years and you've played all of your cards right. You move to a super city. You work your butt off for a company that builds waste treatment facilities across the great land in which you live. It's not exactly the career you were dreaming of as a child, but it's made you a lot of money, and you've invested that money wisely. Now you're rich. In the true meaning of the word, your work has paid off. But here's the thing, you won't enjoy that payoff unless you let yourself. Remember, the point isn't just to make lots of money, it's to make lots of money so that you can stop having to make lots of money. That way you can work less and spend more time doing the things you love with your friends and family. Now you're suddenly asking yourself to abdicate your hard-earned gold-plated throne to do things like playing with your kids and giving your time to good, but not exactly lucrative, causes. That can be a tough pill to swallow for someone who's been a go-getter their entire adult life. The key here is to keep your eye on the prize. Remember the ultimate reason why you've put in all those hours in the first place. To do the things you really want to do and to share in the happiness your family feels as they live the good life you've helped to create for them. But you won't be there to do that if you're always at the office. We've assumed that your overarching objective is to have enough financial security to enjoy your golden years with your loved ones, particularly the family you create with a partner. Of course, that's assuming you have such a family and partner in the first place. We'll take a look at how to find and maintain a relationship with a good life partner, that is, a person with whom you can form a true partnership when it comes to parenting. To begin with, you need to know what you should be looking for in such a partner. Now, there are some one-size-fits-all requirements. For example, your partner should be an emotionally stable person who likes you for who you are. After all, it's pretty unpleasant to share your life and kids with someone who's emotionally unstable and hates you. But the other requirements need to be tailored to your individual preferences. Here, the task is all about finding alignment between you and your partner. Next, you need to make them happy and keep the relationship strong. One of the most effective ways to do this is to avoid keeping score. Don't keep track of who's done what to whom, positive or negative, as if you and your partner were competing in a game to see who's the better half of your relationship. Forgive your partner for their mistakes and be generous for the sake of being generous, not to rack up points. If you can extend this generosity to everyone in your life, you'll be golden. Try to praise and help your friends, family, and colleagues at every opportunity, but don't think of yourself as being charitable. Generosity isn't just a matter of self-sacrifice. It's the mark of someone who feels healthy and confident enough to give themselves to others. The solutions to the problem of happiness are pretty simple. Do the activities you enjoy doing and spend time with the people you love. Unfortunately, you have to be in a stable financial position to do these things. To get in that position, you'll need to make a trade-off between the work-life balance of your early adulthood and that of your later adulthood. You'll also need to make some wise decisions with your career and finances.